protecting people like you. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. Now, here's Gary.
Happy Wednesday. Oh man, with real estate, it really gets affected by all kind of different news and markets and things that move around. And there's been some stuff in the news about, large apartments and pending foreclosures and a lot of things. It doesn't really, right now, it's not something that's news in San Diego, but we have got our expert, Ken Pecus, with us today. He's my partner on Wednesdays on the Word on Wealth. And today is like basically the word on real wealth, like real estate wealth. We've got Ken Pecus, the founder of the Pecus Group. His number is 619-977-8419. So if you're going to call him, you better call him quickly because he's going to be off in the Buenos Aires, Argentina. All right, Ken, welcome to the show. I can't believe you're actually doing the show when you are literally hopping on a plane tonight. You're a beast.
Hey, I'll be talking to you next week from Argentina, so we're not going to miss a beat.
That's awesome.
We'll be there, so looking forward to it.
So you're going to be mostly in BA, or where are you going to go?
Yeah, I'm going to go to BA because December 21st is the first day of summer, and sun sets at about 8:45 in the evening, and it's 85 degrees to 90 in the day, and then it's 77 to 78 at night. It's perfect Ken weather. It's a perfect place for me to work my December working. And then Christmas, I'm going to head to Uruguay and spend Christmas Eve on Punta del Este in Uruguay, which is like the most beautiful place, one of the most beautiful places in South America. So looking forward to it.
That's terrific. The world is small when we can go wherever we want within a blink of an eye. That's terrific. Wow. Buenos Aires. That's
I might even do a show from Punta del Este. Who knows?
We can do shows from all over the world. We just have you running around with a mic. We're doing it.
I'm good with that.
Super good. Super good. Anything to do with real property, you guys, just remember Ken's number. He's the only one I refer people to, and that is 619-977-8419. And yes, even though he's away. So here's what happened with me. Ken was selling a property for me, and it was like things were getting kind of, really heated up, and we're kind of moving through this thing. And then next thing you know, it's like, yeah, so I'm going to be on vacation for, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. And it's funny because we're like, well, but why are you leaving? We're right in the middle of this transaction. And Ken's response was, oh, I still have my cell phone, and literally would call from wherever he was in Argentina or Uruguay or wherever, because he just keeps running business because he just can't stand to be away from his deals. Yet he's traveling and doing things at the same time. So we do appreciate you doing that.
What's the difference? I'm in Coronado now. I could be in Paris tomorrow. You're still talking to me via phone, right?
Exactly.
So it's all the same to me. And then I got four personal assistants right here with the feet on the ground, and a team of 38 people that support. So there is never a misbeat.
Wow. Terrific. Oh, and we love your team. They're just so cool. We just love working with them. Okay. So I'm really excited because our neighborhood du jour is Coronado. We're doing Coronado today. This is cool. So the highs and low numbers will probably be bigger than last week.
Yeah, they're not so bad. And I thought that to myself, how can I be talking to you every day for every show from Coronado and never even give you Coronado? So that's what we're going to do today.
That's fun.
All right. So some of the highs and lows are a little deceiving. So I want to explain a little bit. So the lowest sale in Coronado in the last 2 weeks was this condo at the Coronado Shores. It was a 1-bedroom, 2-bath condo, 809 square feet. Let me repeat that, 809 square feet. It is on the 16th floor looking out over the ocean, and it was redone by a very renowned San Diego designer who happens to be a really good friend of mine. His name is Michael Roy. There's a plug for a high-end design. This condo sold for $1,920,000. That's, let me repeat, 1 bedroom, 2 bath, 809 square feet. And if you want to do the rough calculation, that was 20 $2,370 a square foot. $2,370 a square foot. Gotta love it. And just so you know, that is not even the highest price per square foot in Coronado nowadays.
Wow.
So
That's incredible.
but that was the lowest sale this week. The highest sale was
Cheap
actually
little
quite
condo there on the shores.
I love it. So it's just a different lifestyle. You just have to appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
The highest price for the house is actually a middle of the road house in Coronado, in a sense that it's literally in the middle of the island. It's not on not facing the ocean, not facing the bay, nothing like that. It's literally right in the middle of the island. It was a 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath. It was newer construction. It was constructed like 12 years ago. It still had wonderful design done in like a Cape Cod manner. 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath, 2,600 square feet, 2-car garage. A lot size of 4,700 square feet, so just under 5,000, and it closed escrow for $4,940,000. So, and
2 minutes.
Price per square foot, that was cheaper than the condo because that was only $1,860 a square foot, and you get all the land with it. So there you go.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Right there in Coronado, where your water table is 6 feet below your feet. Gotta love that. That's really cool.
Well, you know, there's some real interesting sales going on right now. So currently, those are the lows and whatever, but currently in Coronado, there's a $30 million property. It's a prime estate in Coronado. It is under contract and has been under contract for a number of weeks. So, you know, hopefully if for them, if things go well, it'll close. And so we'll see when that happens. There's another property that's under contract in Coronado that's above 10 million. That's for sale.
1 minute.
But then here's when it's not either the high or the low, but I wanted to point this out. Pretty much everybody in Coronado.
We're going to hold you on that so that people are going to be in suspense. We're going to take a short break. You're talking to Gary Quackenbush and Ken Pecus right here on the Word on Wealth. Today is Real Estate Wednesday. To get on the show, we're going to open our lines up right after this quick break. It's 888-344-1170, 888-344-1170. This is your opportunity to call and talk to the man, Ken Pecus, the founder of the Pecus Group at eXp Realty. And if you want to call him directly, it's 619-977-8419. All right, we're going to keep talking about Coronado. Kind of cool little neighborhood like San Diego-esque, and we'll be talking about that when we come back here on the Word on Wealth.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com.
You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is Faith-Based Investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christians just don't understand that the money they save for retirement usually helps fund the abortion industry and other liberal anti-family causes. But did you know that with just a few minutes of your time, we can screen and clean your investments at no cost to you? It's absolutely complimentary. Just go to the website right now, download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing. It's free as well. You deserve to know the truth as the investor. Then the choice is yours. You can keep doing what you're doing, or you can line up your investments and life savings with your beliefs. We are fiduciary investment advisors. You can feel good about investing with confidence. So learn more now. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com or call me at 931-RETIRED. Your free book is waiting for you. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com and be sure that you listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
Gary, how do you and your team help our listeners avoid probate?
Well, first of all, probate is a process that involves attorneys, judges, and sometimes contesting parties. And so we try to avoid probate at pretty much all costs. The way we do that is setting up living trusts, setting up properly documented wills, putting the property like houses, cars, bank accounts in that trust so that it avoids probate. Probate is only necessary if the estate plan isn't set up quite right. So we help them get it set up right. And mainly that's done through a properly created living trust.
Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs, call or click to request your free initial consultation. That's gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
Who will you trust with the biggest financial decision of your lifetime? If you're planning to buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecus and the Pecus Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of The Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecus has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecus Group. From single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings, Ken Pecus is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecus.com. That's Ken Pecus, Pecus.com. Or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, gqlaw.com.
All right, listen to The Word on Wealth, and we've got lines open. So welcome back, friends. And today is a Real Estate Wednesday with Ken Pecus of the Pecus Group. Give us a call at 888-344-1170, 888-344-1170. You can ask Ken right here on the air your question about your real estate or real estate desires and fantasies. Just call up Ken. Call us on the air, 888-344-1170. We are talking about the exciting area of San Diego, Coronado. So we got our high and low sales. And then I cut Ken off when we were talking about some potential, some under contract things. And then Ken, you got to the bottom of the hour. Let's talk about Coronado, what it's like, what the community is like, all that stuff. Go for it.
Yeah, I could talk about it for weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Since I went to school here since first grade and grew up here and my family's here, I am definitely partial to Coronado. Talk about a sheltered life. But I love it. I love that I lived a sheltered life. It was great.
Yeah.
But there's so much about Coronado. There's something I really want to talk about real estate-wise. I'm going to push it for a couple minutes while I do my Chamber of Commerce pitch on Coronado for the rest of it. So first of all, almost everybody in San Diego, so many people across the country know about Coronado simply because of the Hotel Del that was built here in 1888. So we'll talk a little bit about the hotel at the end. But to give people a concept of Coronado, first of all, it's a city. It's a city in itself. Coronado is part of San Diego County, but they have their own municipal government system here. They have a police department, fire department, their own separate parks and recreation, because there's a whole bunch of parks and recreation. City planning is completely different. on some of our previous shows when I talk about, transit priority areas, and I talk about, the high and low density buildings and everything, that doesn't apply to an individual city like Coronado. Coronado has its own regulations, and what does apply to it is the state regulations, but then they marry up with the local zoning to get a hybrid version. So anything that happens in San Diego doesn't necessarily happen in Coronado. So that's number one. Coronado has its own public school district. So it's actually got its own district. It's not part of any part of San Diego. It's got its own high school, middle school, elementary school. And just as a note, in the latest rankings, U.S. News, I believe, ranked Coronado like in the top 700 high schools in the country. So, which top 700 high schools in the country would not seem high, but if you break it down, it's like 97 in the state of California, and then like number 6 in San Diego. And that's really significant coming from a proud Coronado High School alumnus, because the school district is funded at a much lower level, under my understanding, that some of the other school districts like San Diego, Sweetwater, Vista, Poway. Coronado School District doesn't have the same kind of funding that the other ones. You'd think it's opposite, but it's really because of the quality of the teachers and the quality of the parental engagement that really drives this community. So it's something that that the local residents are very proud of. Also because the makeup of the city is not exactly what it might seem on the surface. It's an expensive place to live, but because we have now 3 very large military installations, the third one being the one that was built just past the Coronado Cays. There's a wonderful mix of people in Coronado that come from lots of different walks of life. So it's quite a great thing. If you haven't experienced it, it's really nice to come over and spend time in Coronado. Take the ferry over from San Diego, or you can take a bus or drive over. It's flat. It's perfect for people like me who like to run or walk, but don't really like big hills. So it's like ideal. Probably not for you. It's probably not going to give you
no mountain biking on Coronado Island.
Yeah. Well, hey, but you have that massive, that long bike path down the Strand, and when you're going, I don't know which way. I think it's when you're coming into Coronado, you're going against the wind. You might as well be going up like Mount Everest. It's so hard. At least it is on a one of those beach cruisers.
You're talking to a mountain biker. Okay, no big deal.
I know, but I know there's listeners out there that can empathize with me. With
Absolutely.
There you go.
The Strand is a beautiful, it's a beautiful place to ride all the way down to Imperial Beach, and you keep going and going. Coronado, awesome.
Well, and I just found this, and you probably already know this. You can circumnavigate the bay now. I had no idea. You can take a bike path all around through Imperial Beach into South Chula Vista, all around the bay that side. And a client of mine did it the other day, or stopped off at one of my events and with their bikes and said, "Yeah, no, we're going around the bay." And I said, "You're kidding? I had no idea." So there you go.
So you have to go out down around the Salt Flats by Roar or whatever it is down there.
What was formerly Roar. Is it? Yeah. Oh, is it still Roar? Maybe it is.
I think it's formerly Roar. I just always remember it as Roar because that's literally where my grandpa worked. I mean, my grandpa's been gone for a long time, but it's Roar, and it's just Roar to me. I don't care what's there.
Yeah.
But it's funny. We were down there when my granddaughter was here for her Great to Be 8 trip with grandma and grandpa for a week. She wanted to go under the Coronado Bridge, and she wanted to be on a tube, for us to tow her with our little boat. So we towed her under the bridge, and then we towed her all the way down to like the salt dehydrating ponds, and you can't get it. We get down there, we're going, wait a minute, that's a sign that says don't go any further. So we circumnavigated the bay just by going as far as we could down there. But what a charming place.
There's so much, and you just said it, there's so much San Diego has that people don't even recognize. And now with the new Gaylord Center going down in Chula Vista on the harbor front, and with National Cities built out of their marina, if you haven't gone into the South Bay, if you haven't gone there, there is a lot going on, and do yourself a favor and explore, more of San Diego.
Yep.
But going back to Coronado, a couple
Oh, yeah.
things about Coronado that are really great is that there's tons of parks and everything, but the recreation in Coronado is excellent. Everybody knows about the beach. The beach is one of the best in the country, but Coronado also has a championship golf course. In fact, Coronado has had golf since 1897. I looked it up. That's when the first golf course was on Coronado. So there's three different public tennis facilities in Coronado. There's pickleball available. There's 3 resorts, big resorts that cater to the city also. And so it's a completely self-contained world away. And I always, when I talk to people, I go, are you going to go over the pond? And we're talking about, the harbor.
Mhm.
But there's some people here that, you want to go over the bridge? No, I'm just going to stay here because everything is here.
Yes.
And so, so that's Coronado. So I want to come back.
I was just there
to
last
real
night, by the
estate.
way,
Oh yeah, where are you at?
and I didn't stop to visit you. We were down at Lamb's Player Theater doing their Christmas program they did. Super, super good. Down there, saw that
And we have our
Christmas tree down there. That Christmas tree is insane this year. All the
oh,
blinky white flasher lights on it. It was really cool. It's just super, super cool. Seen that thing lit. Dozens.
and see, we have our own community theater here. We
Mhm.
have a huge public library. We have a community center. You should see the championship pools. So there is just so much here to go. So Coronado is awesome. But I wanted to talk about the Hotel Del. Now, the Hotel Del had been going under a massive expansion and renovation. It's now starting a new renovation. But if you haven't been to the Hotel Del in the last pre-COVID, do yourself a favor. There is never a more magical time than to go right now during the Christmas season.
Yep.
It is
Absolutely.
just outside, inside, and there's an ice rink. There's an ice rink on the lawn. If you didn't know that, but the Hotel Del is just magical. And but when it comes to real estate and the highest and lowest and everything sells, I want to point this out. The actual most expensive price per square foot real estate in Coronado is at the Hotel Del. And people would say, what do you mean? The Hotel Del's not for sale. Well, it actually, part of it is. On both sides of the hotel, you have 2 developments that are part of the Hotel Del. One is called the Storehouse at the Del. That's the one on the south side between the hotel and the Coronado stores. And one is called the Beach Villages, and it's on the quote unquote, you would think it's north, but it's really on the west side of the hotel,
Yes.
just because of orientation. Those are what we call, and they're around the country, those are what we call limited use full ownership. So you buy these places. So if you're somebody that has who's fairly well off and has a lot of capital sitting around, and you're not doing something with it, it is just the most amazing investment, because you buy these
2 minutes.
but they're rooms, they're Hotel Del rooms, but they're set up as condos, and you can use the space for up to 60 days a year, unless they've changed it recently, but that was the last time I checked. The rest of the time, they get leased out by the Hotel Del or rented out on a nightly basis with the Hotel Del's normal stuff, but at prime value, because these are like presidential suite type of places.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you share in the return of the investment, because the Hotel Del does all the management of the unit. If there's maintenance involved, if there's whatever involved, the Hotel Del actually takes care of it, and they charge the P&L of the unit itself. And at the end of the year, you're splitting with the hotel the profit.
1 minute.
So if somebody was actually looking at it, when you actually look at the return, it's actually been a great return, and the equity appreciation has been staggering, despite what people thought was not going to happen. And as an example, why I'm trying to bring this up, is the Storehouse. They just opened up, sold out almost instantaneously. Then after the original
Okay,
sale,
we're gonna take a break. and we're going to
Dang,
talk
I
about.
need to talk faster.
We're going to finish. You need to talk faster. We're going to take a break in just a second here, and we're going to finish talking about the Shore House because I know exactly what you're talking about. Hotel Del at Christmas time it's an incredible place to go visit. You're listening to The Word on Wealth with Ken Pecus and Gary Quackenbush. Ken's the founder of the Pecus Group at EXP. His number is 619-977-8419. Do not touch that dial. We'll be back in just a second.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com. 855-500-TRUST.
Have today's economic conditions and high inflation made it difficult for you in retirement? Hi, I'm Shane Sletter, the mortgage advisor on The Word on Wealth. You hear me with Gary Quackenbush, answering your questions every Tuesday at 2 p.m. For over 20 years in San Diego, I've specialized in home financing solutions for seniors as they get older and their families. If you qualify, a reverse mortgage allows you to convert part of your home equity into either a lump sum, line of credit, or much needed monthly income. You're insured and protected against ever owing more than the value of your home. And you don't have to sell your home, give up title, or get new conventional mortgage financing with monthly payments. The program is designed to make it easier for seniors to qualify. I will walk you through every step of the process. To receive a free reverse mortgage guide by mail, text REVERSE to 858-683-1716. Or give me a call on my direct number, 858-683-1716.
Licensed with the state of California. NMLS ID number 239958. DRE number 01174642.
You're not alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
Happy Wednesday, friends. We're here with Ken Pecus on our regular usual feature, and that is on The Word on Wealth. We talk about real estate in the whole show, and we got Ken Pecus to help him do that. We are finishing up a conversation about the Shore House at the Hotel Del, and then we're going to move on because I've got other questions for Ken regarding Oh, there's some things in the news about investments, apartments, and kind of some of it may bleed over to San Diego. And we want to kind of have our market update from Ken and kind of the news and how things are affecting the San Diego real estate market in the future coming up.
And I'll talk faster. All right. The last thing I was going to finish up on the Shore House. The Shore House, a unit just came up for sale. It went pending pretty quickly, within 2 weeks. It's 1,600 square feet, so it's like probably one of the biggest ones you'll see in this type of product segment. Came on the market at $5,250,000, and it's already pending. And just to let you know, that's 3,100 a square foot. That's bigger than a lot of Manhattan numbers.
And you can use it for 60 days.
And you can use it for 60 days.
So, okay, we're going to multiply that out. So that's 60 days. That's 1/6. So 5.25. But they don't sell it to anybody else, right? You use it for 60 and they rent it out for the other 10 months.
Yeah, you absolutely own it. It's not a co-owning. You're not owning it with the hotel. You're just sharing in the revenue and the profit of the property. And you, by the way, and you are paying $2,200 a month on HOA fees too, just so you know. So, but it, for the standard person, might seem pretty outrageous or whatever. But if you're in this market space and you know who you are, it's something that people don't consider, and it's a great place to plant money, especially if you're in a marquee property like the Hotel Del, where you can absolutely you just get the rates. So just keep it in mind, just in case somebody is out there and listening. It's something to explore if you haven't already.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for doing that, Ken. All right, I'm going to open lines so you guys can ask questions right now live on the show. It's 888-344-1170. Call and you can ask Ken Pecus, our real estate expert and our real estate editor on the Word on Wealth. Ask him anything you want. So you got that number, 888-344-1170. Ken, talk to us about kind of what's going on with the real estate market now. Like, where are we? Rates came down a little bit. The Fed's saying, well, maybe we'll reduce the rates, maybe inflation's under control. How are things with that, with the housing market and everything? And then get into some of the news.
All right, so there's definitely been an uptick in offers and mortgage originations with the rate reductions. And I wouldn't get overly excited about rate reductions going a ton lower, because there was a lot of people in, just to give you an example, there's a lot of people in the mid 70s when the rates hit 7%, they were like, I'm going to wait till the rates come down. And they didn't come down, and they didn't come down for 15 years. And those people that were waiting for the rates to come down didn't come down, and they missed out on something in the neighborhood of a 10 times appreciation on some of those places. So One of the things about rates, you got to think about rates is, this is the cost of money. This is the cost of doing business at this time in life. You either want to do business and want to work and make it out, or you don't. If you don't and you want to stay on the sidelines, perfectly fine. There's a lot of very conservative financial people that do that. But if one thing I've seen in my history is that when rates come down, that means the economy shakes a little bit or whatever, and there's other things that are going on. You readjust your business model and you adjust to what is going on. So you never not engage the market based on rates. You don't really engage the markets based on rates because they're low, or you don't engage the rates because they're high. You engage based on where the rates are and what kind of a deal you can formulate. And that kind of leads a little bit into some of the stuff that you're hearing in the news, which I'd like to talk about. And you may or may not hear it. If you haven't heard it, you might start hearing it. So one of the things we do on the show here is to try to keep people ahead of the game. And I want to bring into the vernacular, into our conversation, the word syndications. And you might have heard of syndicators and syndication, or you might not have. But in a very simple explanation, a syndication is a big group of investors that have pooled their money together. They are managed by a managing partnership group, the syndicator, and they they use this pool of money to buy apartments or some other real estate position. And with that money, they buy it. They also go out for additional debt so that they leverage that money in what they're buying. And so it's a way for say you, Gary, if you have a chunk of change sitting around, but you're not like sitting on millions of dollars. But let's just say you have a couple $100,000 sitting around. It's a way of investing without going into like we've talked about before, a Delaware statutory trust or something that's going to tie up your money in a different way, and you get a higher rate of return. The higher rate of return could be anywhere from 5 to 10% that these syndicators, depending upon their experience, depending upon what they've done in the past, and depending upon which market space they're going in, is what they're promoting. So that's a very, very broad view of what a syndicator is. What you're hearing a lot about right now is that there's a lot of syndicators nationally that are in trouble, and they're in trouble because they're going into default on certain things, and it all relates to what you call float rate debt. And a float rate debt is effectively when a syndicator or something is going to leverage their money. So let's just say we have 100 people. We're putting all our money together, and we decide to buy a 400-unit apartment building in Colorado. And so, all these 400 people have put together this 20 million in that syndication or 25 million in that syndication, and they put 15 million down, and they leveraged the rest in debt. And so the idea behind the syndication is they bring the rents up, the rents pay out monthly returns to their investors, and over the course of the time, if it's a thing that needed value add, they use the rest of their money to improve the value of that building. And then once that building is done, they sell the building out, and they make a profit. Logical. It's what we all kind of do with the small 2 to 4 units or whatever. But there's a lot of people that didn't want to do that, but they started getting involved in syndication. And a lot of normal people, like just run of the mill, your next door neighbor type of thing, that have been saving money. But there's a risk that happens. And you know how we've talked about, don't overly do it when the rates are too low, and don't overly do it when the rates are too high. Just do your right business model. Well, a lot of these syndications based a lot of their returns on those abnormally low rates from a couple of years ago. So
2 minutes.
Interesting.
Have been starting to move up. Their returns have been reduced. Then their returns got to the position of there's no returns because the rates kept moving up, because these rates are all based against things like the U.S. Treasury, the LIBOR, the Fed fund rate, whatever it is. So and we all know the interest rates have been going up. So you keep paying more and more on those floating rates. All of a sudden, you don't have the money, and those leveraged companies that you're getting this money from, they do what they call a capital call, because they're saying, we're getting worried about this. We want you to put more money into this deal because we're getting a little nervous about these rates. And that's where these syndications, if they were not done right, don't have it. So once again, it's a very high level thing, but what's going on with them, you're starting to hear that. So in
1 minute,
you're hearing people like me and your real estate agents and your whatever saying, hey, San Diego is the second highest appreciation in last year. There's no inventory, whatever. And if you're listening to other media, you might be hearing things about, hey, the housing market has got some real problems or whatever. That's the conflict right now that people might be hearing in their ears.
Okay. Well, that's always good to know. It's good. We're trying to keep our listeners informed, and we're doing exactly that here on Real Estate Wednesday on the Word on Wealth. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to wrap up when we get back. We're going to have a little bit of time left in the show. We're going to wrap up and see if any of this stuff that's happening would be a contagion that might infect San Diego. Coming up next year on the Word on Wealth.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com.
So, Gary, we've talked a long time about estate administration. So, what is that, and why is it important?
Estate administration is the distribution part of estate planning. So when someone passes away and they leave money to beneficiaries, the property has to be administered. So it's like taking it from the decedent to the survivor. That's called the estate administration process. So usually you're going to have a successor trustee that's named in the trust. They'll have no idea what they're doing because they've never done it before. So then they call on GQ Law and we walk them step by step on how to be a successful and good successor trustee. We also do the required notifications. We notify the Department of Health Services and all the legal requirements so that they can have the estate administration done properly. We help successor trustees be successful.
Call or click to request your free consultation. GQlaw.com. 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com.
Imagine you're a lonely single teenage mom saying to yourself, I have nothing for this baby. Imagine trying to survive and struggling just to put clothes on your newborn. Right here in San Diego County, a volunteer outreach organization collects and distributes new and gently used clothing, blankets, and more. And it meets the heartfelt needs for community, dignity, and hope. Discover Gently Hugged. Learn more. Give and volunteer now at gentlyhugged.org.
Every day you watch the financial market, sometimes
You're not alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's GQlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
You're listening to the Word on Wealth. We're really happy to have you along. We've got lines open. So call up friends and ask Ken your question about real property. The number is 888-344-1170. Ken, we've been talking about syndications, these big investor groups with a manager and a bunch of money put together, and they're buying up apartment buildings using leverage. And then sometimes as the rates go up and their return goes down, some of them are getting in a little bit of trouble. It's not typically something we're seeing right now in San Diego. Is this something that could potentially be like a contagion that will spread to San Diego or to the residential community? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I actually think there is a little risk. But there's always a little risk, right? Everywhere we go.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that people have to realize is that all these investors that are starting to feel the pain with these syndications, the U.S. SEC governs who can invest. So you couldn't just do it. You actually have to qualify. And the SEC, which you probably know, has literally defined what they call an accredited investor.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can only be an accredited investor if you're buying it. And the whole idea here is with the SEC is that, hey, if you're going to do these things are very risky. You should be able to withstand the loss of all your money. And the way they do that is they make sure that and I think they're going to have to move up the ratings for a accredited investor. But you have to have a net worth over $1 million minus your, excluding your primary residence. You can't include your primary residence. So your net worth has to be over $1 million, and that your income, if you're single, has to be above $200,000 a year for the last 2 years, and be heading to at least that in the current year. And if you're married, it is $300,000 a year. And they also have additional professional criteria and everything that solidify. And the whole idea is what they're trying to do is put some broad, very baseline stuff to make sure whoever's investing here has some level of experience or knowledge to take them into a little more risky kind of investment. So that's who we're dealing with. But the reason I think we have to just watch it. If you go back to the Great Recession and what went on then, they were giving loans to everybody, right? And you fogged a mirror and you got a loan.
Yep.
And you could see that was going to collapse. You could just see it. But technically, that's not really what caused the Great Recession collapse. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. What really caused the Great Recession collapses is that they started bundling and packaging all of those loans. And they started packaging those loans, and then they started selling those loans as in mortgage bundles, and they started trading those loans as a security, essentially. And I think they call them mortgage default swaps. And so when those values of those loans started to drop because people weren't making their payments, all these investments that were made and then the banks had invested in them, it caused a massive ripple effect across insurance companies and the banks and everything. So they put in all this regulation for the banks, and we saw a little bit of it earlier this year when some of those crypto banks and the smaller banks that got too big but fell under the banking regulations started failing. This has a little bit of risk in my mind, because these syndicators and these syndicated loans are kind of doing the same thing in many places. They're increasingly they're marketed to a broader public, and so it's not really governed by the SEC the way the banks are right now. So I'm just kind of watching. There's a lot of very, very good syndicators, right? So it's not like this is like a everybody's bad type of thing, but there is definitely some risk here. And I think people should watch the risk. And anytime you have a financial risk in any part of our economy, it could spread to other parts. I don't think it would not stop me personally or any client that I'm counseling from investing in property, but we always take the long look. It's never about what the property is going to be worth the next year or the next year or whatever. It's always the long look, and it's always the investment returns that you get on the rents. If you buy a rock solid rental property or a property for yourself that you can live in, you should just never put yourself in a position that you have to sell because somebody else or some external effect is changing the economics. You should only sell if and when it makes sense for you and your financial business.
That makes complete sense. That makes sense. And I can see, the kind of the net effect of, you get these syndication, these groups, and it sounds great. And, I'll have people saying, oh, it's the best things ever. Best thing ever. You're not in one of these syndications, or you're not investing in this. This is the best thing ever. It's kind of the newest, hottest, latest. And I always look at that and go, I don't understand exactly how they work. So I, like Warren Buffett advises, I don't get into investments that I don't understand them, because then I don't know whether I'm doing well or not. And I don't know whether to, understand what my agent or my investment advisor is trying to tell me. If I don't understand it, I don't want a part of it. You get these syndications, which it makes sense because now you can be a real property owner. And I've had clients where they are part of one of these syndications, and we transfer their ownership interest in the syndication to their living trust, so that, on their death, it's either going to be liquidated and the cash paid to the kids, or the kids will become owners of the syndication, which they're not going to allow. That's going to be, converted to cash. But any of these things, I think it's kind of, in this whole thing, I think maybe some people are kind of thinking in terms of, well, does this affect my overall financial plan, my overall real estate plan, my overall estate plan? And I think all of this does, in that you were providing this information to help people understand that we have to look forward to risk that might be there. It's something to be fully aware of. That's why, hey, if it's calling for an accredited investor, there's a reason for that, because there's a reasonable possibility that the whole thing will completely fail and you lose your money, but they don't want you to be on the street. So you have to be an accredited investor. And this is your investment money, your play money that you don't really need, you can survive without. So I think when things like that, if it's too big for you, if it's just something you can't afford to lose all that money and survive it, then you just stay away from it. And yeah, they look great, and yeah, they might make money, but you still have to be wise in your determination, and you just got to be patient. And I think that's one thing, Ken, that you advise people when you're putting together like their real estate portfolio, is you're not going to buy a building on some big crushing deal and turn around and sell it in 6 months, and flip it and make, 100% return or 200% return on your money. We're going to do that every 6 months. You're looking to the long view and saying, when do you want to retire? Okay, you need to be out 15 years, you need to be 10, you need to be 20, and let's figure out how to kind of put together this portfolio and let it build based on past evidence, based on what's looking like in the future, instead of like, these hot deals that seem like this is the hottest thing. Let's do this really quick. So I appreciate you providing the information, because it's just so much more insight.
Well, if you're at all active on social media, anything, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, you're going to see a lot of very compelling shorts or videos, introductions into this. And the whole concept is it's real estate ownership. It's real property ownership. It's leveraging. It's using rent. The theory is all really good. My advice to people is, if you have $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000, before you invest in the syndication, make sure you've invested in real property itself and you understand it before you go into some of these other ones. Because I was meeting with somebody earlier this morning, and I mentioned that I'm going to touch on this, and he used to do capital raises for syndications, and I just was just kind of doing some broad questions and everything, and the way it came back to me, it is so much more sophisticated and so much more important that somebody understands what's going on than the glamour that is put out there for people. And they go, well, yeah, I'm going to get 7%. It's going to get 7% every month. It's being put against this wonderful apartment building in Missouri, and I'm going to get it. And it's right there by the school. The whole concept sounds like it's the same concept that we've talked about in like, say, DSTs or real estate investment trusts. But the difference here is it's not created the same way, and it's not governed the same way. And so you have to be very, very careful with what you do. So my intention here is not to say don't do it. My intention here is to say really make sure you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And if you're even remotely not solid, just buy
2 minutes.
Exactly.
Just buy a 4-unit property. Just buy 3-unit property, that type of thing, and you'll never be sorry for that. And you can learn more about syndication.
I want you to we got about a minute, and I want you to take this minute and talk about some of your thoughts about I know it's hard to do in a minute, but you can do it, is what are your thoughts about somebody that's just thinking about, I would love to have a real estate portfolio in San Diego to set up for my retirement. How does that get started with you? And how does that conversation start? You got about 1 minute.
We sit down, we figure out what you're trying to get to. We look at your age. Your age is very important, and where you want to go and when you want to get there by. From there, we put together how much money you have to start out with and start evaluating what your capacity to get financing is, because depending upon where you are in life, what kind of job you have, what kind of outside income you have will dictate what kind of new lending you can get.
1 minute.
we could put a process together to see if the goals that you want to achieve by the time you just told me are realistic, or if it's not, what has to change? And then you have to go back and start thinking about, is there any way I can change the situation so that I can get to where I want to go? But that all starts with a, it all starts with a, a sit down, a meeting, a conversation, and a plan.
Awesome. And you guys, this is the kind of conversation you're not going to hear from most real estate professionals. Ken is an expert real estate advisor. He's got a huge team that helps out there. Great. Their understanding, and they can help you meet your goals. Call Ken Pecus, 619-977-8419. You can also go to his website, Ken Pecus, PECUS.com. All right. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow right here on the Word on Wealth. Ken, enjoy Argentina. Bye, everybody.
See you from Buenos Aires.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995. With financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. The information you hear on the Word on Wealth is for general information purposes only. This program discusses general financial